Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Belgium. Today we're talking about a comparison between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. However, they're very correlated price-wise because of MicroStrategy's large Bitcoin holdings. So we're starting with an interesting ratio, and that is divide divide the share price of MicroStrategy to the price of Bitcoin. And we're taking the BLX chart for this because it has Bitcoin price data from 2011 when it was literally like a couple of cents. Um, so we're dividing the BLX by the MicroStrategy share price. So we're now doing this. So we're taking the BLX and then we're dividing it by the MicroStrategy share price, and then we get something like this. So as you can see, that's why I say that the price of BTC and MicroStrategy are very correlated last years because of the big position the Bitcoin position of MicroStrategy. So as you can see, it's relatively flat the last years. Um, Despite the two assets going up and down in price. Um, there was a nice rally here in April of 2022. Let's see what happened back then in April 2022. That was, yeah, MicroStrategy went here down a lot. And what did BTC do back then? Yeah, it also went down, but not as hard as MicroStrategy back then. Um, so MicroStrategy, their share price went absolutely skyrocket in at the end of 2022 and at the beginning of 2021. It did, as you can see, from the beginning of August 2022 until February 2021. It did an 9x move. Absolutely crazy. I mean, let's see what BTC did back then from the end of August, the beginning of August until 2022, until until the beginning of February, it did a 5x, so it's pretty good. The 5 to 6x is pretty good, but MicroStrategy did actually better back then. Um, yeah, as you can see, MicroStrategy has had a tough ride since lately, just like BTC. But as you can see, the ratio remains relatively flat. Um, MicroStrategy also did have an insane rally during the dot-com bubble. It went from $78 to more than $3,000. I mean, insane. It did an 40x. I mean, absolutely crazy. However, don't think that Michael Saylor hasn't had been through rough times because afterwards, during the dot-com crash, his MicroStrategy, their share price dropped 99%. 99. I mean, that's insane. Even in crypto or in BTC terms, that's absolutely insane. However, the the share price recovered, and in 2022, it had a very nice rally again. Yeah, so that's price-wise, I think the main differences, as you can see, MicroStrategy went pretty flat during the beginning of BTC. Price-wise, it was pretty flat, while BTC just went absolutely parabolic back then. I mean, as you can see, it just kept on going. Also, okay, it also had some big corrections, like sometimes a 90% correction or 95, yeah, 94% drawdown. But it actually went up throughout these years. Um, So that's a big difference. But lately they are pretty correlated price-wise. So yeah, MicroStrategy holds at this moment around 130,000 Bitcoin, which is 0.6% of the total BTC supply, which is a pretty big amount. Yeah, their value of their BTC today is over 2 billion. But now let's take a look at the market cap of MicroStrategy. Yeah, their market cap today is just a bit bigger than their BTC holdings. So their Bitcoin holdings only are almost as much worth as the whole company. And yeah, sometimes we see that the assets of a company are higher, their book value is higher than their market cap. So that's also another big difference. Bitcoin is an asset, a commodity, a currency. In my opinion, it is a commodity and a currency and an asset. MicroStrategy is a company, so that's a big difference. I mean, it's also an asset in that regard, but it is a company, and BTC is not a company. MicroStrategy has a CEO. The CEO is what I think she's called. It's sometimes yeah. So the CEO is Fong, Mr. Fong. Excuse me, not Mrs. And their executive chairman is Michael Saylor. You probably know him if you know a bit about Bitcoin. You know Michael Saylor is a huge Bitcoin advocate. I like his interviews, um, and I think he is doing so very much good for the Bitcoin space with regards of institutional investors, etc., and making Bitcoin more famous in the world. Yeah, he really likes Bitcoin, uh, like me. And the enterprise value of MicroStrategy is 4.6 billion. But how is it possible that the market cap is so much lower than the enterprise value? Yeah, that's because the enterprise value is the market cap plus the total debt, and the debt of the company. So now let's take a look at the financial of MicroStrategy. Um, um, yeah, then we need to look at it in the balance sheet, of course. The total debt of MicroStrategy is 2.2 billion. So if we add 2.2 billion and the market cap, yeah, we get around almost on the enterprise value. So yeah, that's also an important part. MicroStrategy has a CEO. Bitcoin does not have a CEO, and that has benefits for both sides. I mean, if you, I think it's important for a monetary asset to not have a CEO that they can decide that the CEO can decide what happens with the protocol or the currency. It needs to be decentralized. And for a company, a CEO can have also benefits because he can steer the direction of the company and make important decisions. However, I think it's important for a monetary asset like Bitcoin or a savings accounts to not have a CEO. So that's an important part. MicroStrategy is a company, Bitcoin is not a company, and that's one of the main differences. MicroStrategy generates revenue and makes a profit every year. As we can see in the financials of 2021, they had a total revenue of 510 million, yes. And then they have a certain amount of expenses, and then they have pre-tax income. As you can see, why it was negative is probably because of the valuation of the BTC holding, and they also have earnings per share. With Bitcoin, you don't have earnings per share. Um, They have the EBITDA, the earnings before interest. They have the also because it's a company. So yeah, you can see MicroStrategy has financials. It has an income statement, a balance sheet, a cash flow statement. It's not like BTC where you don't have those things. Um, I think it trades on the Nasdaq. MicroStrategy, that also is an important factor, I think. So yeah, what should you buy? I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, of course, but that are just some of the big differences. Also, one of the big differences is that the scarcity of Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million BTC. With shares of a company like MicroStrategy, you never know how many shares there are ever going to be. I mean, they can change the number from today to tomorrow, and that's, I mean, a very important part of the scarcity of Bitcoin, that there only ever will be 21 billion. The technology of crypto, of Bitcoin, also makes that it's very transportable. So you can take your BTC with you on a cold wallet or on your smartphone. With a share, it is much more difficult to take it around the world and to exchange it for other currencies. It's very difficult compared to a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. That's also one of the big differences. And yeah, I mean, there are some of the most important differences. Um, Take it as you want. I mean, it's of course your financial decision. Um, but I think MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are doing good things for the BTC space. Oh yeah, also an important thing is to see the holders of MicroStrategy. And yeah, the top institutional holders of MicroStrategy are Capital, International Investors, Vanguard of the ETFs and the index funds, BlackRock, which is one of the biggest companies in the world, Morgan Stanley, also a famous investment firm. Yeah, so as you can see, the reason why they invest in MicroStrategy probably is because they want that indirect Bitcoin exposure. They maybe don't want that direct Bitcoin exposure. So they want a way that a company has BTC, but not a way that they have their own BTC. So they don't have BTC on their balance sheet, but they have invested some of their money in companies that have um, direct BTC exposure. So that's maybe why these big companies invest in MicroStrategy, is because they want indirect Bitcoin exposure. So that's, I think, also an important factor. So yeah, I mean, that are the most important differences, I think, guys. Price-wise, they have been pretty correlated lately. However, Bitcoin or BTC is, in my opinion, it's an asset, it's a currency, it's a commodity, and MicroStrategy is obviously a company. So that's the most important difference. And there's also a difference in scarcity. There is a difference price-wise. There is a difference in having a CEO or not. There is a difference in having employees or not. A difference in institutional adoption. So yeah, but I think it's an interesting comparison. Let me know what you think, or which one do you like more. And yeah, give the video a like if you like it. If you like the video, if you don't, yeah, you can dislike it. But also leave something in the comments below if you have some more questions or if you have some feedback. Okay, that's all for today, guys. Goodbye.